Hello, hello. Happy Friday. Excited to be here, and I'm loving that. You can see all the beautiful sun coming in through my backyard right there. Oh my gosh, you guys, I want to tell you a story. I love telling stories. If you've never heard me tell stories before, well, you're missing out because I'm a good storyteller. My name is Dawn Elle. If you're new to me, it's nice to connect with you. Just so you know a little bit of background about me, I'm a transformational mentor and a channel and a healer, and I really specialize in helping my clients heal forward so they can become their future self. And I want to tell you, oh my gosh, the other day my daughters wanted to see, so I have two daughters, and it's Halloween time, so this is their time of the year where they get super excited, and they wanted to see the costumes that they've worn in previous years. So I was going through my iPhone and I was just saying October, whatever year it was, and looking at the different things. And I went back to October of 2019. And before I start telling you this story about me, I want you to think about something. Do you believe that your life can radically change in 5 years? Do you believe that's possible? Have you been living a life where things have been pretty much the same? Like if you look at your life 5 years prior, is there a lot of change? Give me some hearts if you have seen change in your life. Maybe you haven't. Maybe you're like, I wish I was having a lot of change. So my story is about how things have radically changed in 5 years. And I tell you this story because as someone who helps my clients become their future self, I believe that most people want to work with the people that know how to do the very thing that they're hiring them for, right? That's so important. It's not just some intellectual understanding of something, it's a heart and embodiment understanding. And so I was looking at these pictures, and I happened to be in Bali in 2019. And what was so hard to see was how freaking miserable I looked. Not being in Bali, I loved being in Bali. I love Bali. Bali was life-changing for me. What was really hard for me to see is how I was suffering in so many ways behind closed doors in my life. So many of my clients at the time, so many of my friends at the time had no idea what I was going through because I didn't feel it necessary to share. I've always been a very private person, and I pride myself on my ability to have strength and resiliency in even the most challenging times. I've learned since then that it is important to let people in, of course, and I've always luckily had people to support me. But I looked at these pictures, so just to give you a little backstory, in 2019, when I was going to Bali, I was going there for a retreat. I was actually going to work with Regan Hillier and Juan Barona to do quantum healing. And it was really fun. I got to, at the time in 2019, I was doing fantastic that year with my work. Things were really amazing. So I was treating myself, and I was gonna go to the in-person portion of this retreat. What is so crazy is that I look at these pictures and I am so overweight. For me, I'm a petite little thing, you guys. I'm 5 feet, so on a good day. And so when I looked at these pictures and I could see the sadness behind my eyes and the disconnection. I was maybe 20 pounds overweight at that. No, wait. I say that incorrectly. I was 10 or 15 pounds overweight, which is a lot on a little person. And about 15 pounds at that time. And I was in a relationship that was not working. I don't need to go into all the details, but let's just say it was not working. my former suffered with addiction issues, and it was really a challenging time. But yet, on the other hand, like behind closed doors in my life, I was having a lot of hard things happening, and yet I was going to Bali. And Bali was so fun because it reminded me, travel always does this, it reminds me who I am and what's possible. And so when I was at this retreat, I remember having a conversation with a woman there, and she lives in Switzerland. This retreat brought people in from all over the world. It was really amazing and fun. And we were sitting there and we were just talking these just dream stuff. We were talking about how we want to impact people with our businesses, how we want to live our best lives, how we want to have what we desire become ours. And at that time, I think that was prior to me actually becoming certified as a futurist. But I've always been future driven. If you know anything about the Gene Keys, my culture and the other one that's in the prosperity, I can't remember what it is right now. I have the 41, the gift of anticipation. I've always naturally just been a futurist. And I was talking with her about the future and what was really important to me and what I wanted to create. And we got into this conversation, and I remember telling her, she's like, do you think that you can have the life that you want given the circumstances that you're dealing with in your relationship? And I remember thinking, I don't think that I can do that. I don't think that that's possible. I don't know how. I think more at that time, I was like, I don't know how I would do it, because I felt very stifled and very stuck in my relationship space and the patterns that we were, in, a lot of trauma bonding. And we did some breath work that night. And I remember I had my first experience of what people would call a quantum leap. And in this quantum leap, I got to taste my future. I literally felt it. I felt it so deeply that it irrevocably changed me. And I never needed to be sold on futuring, because I knew in that moment that I had literally experienced a future timeline. And it made me get really present with myself and say, what was that? I want that. And everybody has different things that they're working towards and they want in their life. And for me, what I was working towards and what I really wanted more than anything in my life is I wanted a healthy, happy family, and I wanted a partner that I could have a divine union with. And maybe that's like a cheesy, like spiritual thing, but it was basically having a relationship with somebody that I deeply love, and that we have a relationship like almost like a triangle where God's at the top and then me and him are the other, pieces of the triangle on the bottom. That's what I wanted more than anything. And I wanted somebody that would help me be in my highest. I didn't want to be the fixer or be in a relationship space where I'm trying to like keep things go. I wanted it to be a devotional thing. So even in that moment of experiencing that timeline, I felt that I was experiencing a different relationship, a different life. I was like, what was that? And it intrigued me, and there was mystery to it, but I could not let go of how I felt. And so then days later, I went to a water temple in Bali. I want to say it was called Tirta Impul, but I could be wrong. I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at my notes from when I was there. And I remember going underneath the water and praying to the divine and asking the divine to remove away the blocks, to help me become the version of my future self that I had seen, to allow me to have the strength and the ability to see where I was held back and what I needed to do next to become the person that I envisioned, that I felt. And that was on October 23rd of 2019. And I share that date with you because I was a little bit shocked when I went through and looked at that, timeline. Because of what has happened subsequently since that time. Now, I came back, and so that was a very big moment. I remember saying that prayer. I remember being so present and saying, I want to become my future self. Like, I was committed, I was devoted, I had tasted it, I anchored it, I felt it in my body, and I knew somehow, some way that I was going to become her. And the crazy part, you guys, is I had no idea how. Because at that time, becoming her felt like the most monumental, big thing that I would have to do, like pushing a boulder up a hill. But I came back to my life, back to, at the time I was living in San Diego, and I came back and I went back into it. And I want to tell you what happened afterwards in these last 5 years, because you might be new to me and you might not know a little bit about, my story. And I think it's important that I share what it looks like to heal forward, because that's what I help my clients do. I help them heal forward to become their future self. And the reason I called it healing forward, right, is because in order for me to be sitting here now in the life that I have, I was going to have to change. I was going to have to grow. I was going to have to become a new person. I was going to have to think new feelings. I was going to have to take action on it. I was going to have to change everything. And I sit here before you, a wildly different person than I was 5 years ago. Inside and out. I can look at my dog back there. He is so funny. By the way, this is a dog that doesn't realize he's a dog. He's so confused. Like, if you put him outside, he literally thinks I call him a diva dog. He doesn't like to be outside. He thinks that he should always be inside. And I get it, we're in Boise, but it's not even that cold outside right now. So anyways, he wants to be a part of my life. Where was I? So I had to heal to become and live the life I have now. So that was October 2019, October 2020. That year, I realized that was the year I started doing futuring. I got certified in it, and I had to take inventory of my life. And just like that girl had asked me, and it had really triggered me when she asked me, like, do you think you can have the life that you want with this person? And I already knew the answer, but I had no idea how I would ever honor that truth within myself, because I felt trapped. And I felt trapped in my body physically. I felt this loyalty and duty because I was a mother, and we had 2 kids together, that I was supposed to stay even though I was very, very unhappy. But through healing work, through some medicine journeys, through all sorts of things, I came into the truth of my being, and I knew what I had to do. And so I ended that relationship in October of 2020. In October of 2021, a year later, after diving into so much personal development work, because by the way, when I say I ended that relationship, that was 4 years in the making. I was doing work on myself, trying to figure things out. We were trying to work on things and work through things, and it wasn't coming together. So it wasn't like just a snap decision. It was happening in those years and became really clear. So that was October 2020. October 2021, I meet my now fiancé. Unexpectedly, never thinking in a million years that this guy, he's in Idaho. I'm like, I'm in San Diego, he's in Idaho. I have 2 kids in San Diego. There's no way, like, what am I thinking? But I couldn't help how magnetically drawn to him I was. I thought he was gorgeous. I thought the moment we started connecting and talking, I was like, this guy, there's something about this guy. Like, I couldn't. And I remember even, it's a long story how I met him, but it was through an app. But then we connected on Instagram. And I remember us connecting on Instagram, and I didn't realize that the guy on the app was the guy that, even though I gave him my handle, and he had messaged me, and I was looking at his profile, and I was reading his About Me page on his website. And I was like, who is this guy? sounds freaking awesome. He sounds like he's like done the work on himself. He sounds aware and conscious. I was just so drawn. And I remember saying, because I was in Chicago in a bathroom waiting to go use it. And I was like scrolling, reading his, about me on his website. And I remember like holding my hand to my heart and saying, God, why am I feeling something when I'm reading this? Why am I feeling like almost this synchronistic kismet moment? And I remember saying to God, I'm paying attention. I'm paying attention. Maybe this is the type of person you want me to be with, because I'd done so much work on myself in all those years, even though to some of you might be like, oh, that's quick. Year later, you're meeting somebody. No, I did lots of work, lifetimes of work in that time frame. And so what was really interesting is I said yes. I said yes to pursuing that relationship in October of 2023. So 2 years later, on October 23rd of 2023. So remember I said in Bali when I went to the temple and I asked God to remove all the blocks and all the things so that I can become my future self and be in that relationship that I really desire and have the family that I wanted. Not even 3 years later, I had to go to family court on that same very day of October 23rd and go through a process that I can move my children to Idaho so I could be with my partner. We had gotten engaged the day before. And so it's wild to look back and see how things were moving. And then that started the process where I was able to move and I was able to be with my fiancé and I was able to start a whole new life here in Boise. Now it's October and I'm looking back and I'm going, holy shit, like, wow. 5 years ago, I made a promise to myself to become my future self. And here I am. Here I am. Now I'll tell you, if you think co-creating, because I didn't do this by myself, I did this with the divine, every single step of the way. Last year was one of the most challenging years I've ever had, having to go and have someone, in my family's energy, interviewing and doing all these things. And that's a whole nother conversation. But I went through so much fear of, having to do all these things to prepare to go to court. It was a really big process, and it really tested me on so many levels. And I remember telling everybody, I'm going to be moving to Idaho. I'm going to be with my beloved. And granted, that seemed crazy, especially when I first met him. I was like, how would I ever make this work? But I'm not the type of person that stops myself from saying yes to the very things that I want, because I know that there's a way if it's meant to be. And I had to surrender and be in that space going into court last year, because I might not have, there was a chance that I wasn't going to win. And now the girls and their dad and I have this really cool schedule and this way that we do things, and it worked out. It worked out. But it seemed crazy at the time. I remember telling people and they were like, wait, what? You're moving to what? You're moving to Idaho and you're doing this and why and and oh my gosh. And I remember one of my clients telling me, as a matter of fact, she was watching the whole thing from the side. A lot of my clients were watching from the sidelines. And I kept it pretty private. Not everybody knew I was having to, meet with a custody evaluator for months on end and do all the court stuff. And, I kept it to myself because it was, it's a private family matter. But I remember one of my clients that I was working with, one of my one-on-one clients intimately, she was like, hey, I can't believe you did it. You pulled it off. I remember you saying what you wanted to have happen and you actually did it. And I said, well, yeah, I did, but it was also divine, intervention. But my point in sharing all this, now that I'm living here in Boise and I moved and I'm coming upon this potent time frame. You know, we had the Aries full moon yesterday. October, I'm an Aries rising, so maybe there's some, you know, something here for me with this October, you know, energy, but it had me really grateful. It had me really tender in my heart, thinking about the ways I said yes to my future self, the ways that I persevered when I didn't think things were coming together. When I questioned if I was just some crazy person, you know, that was like, why can't I just do things normally? Why can't I just be with somebody in San Diego? Why can't I this? Why can't I that? But I never gave that voice too much talk time, too much airtime, because I knew in my heart of hearts that back in 2019 in October, I had been given a vision. And that what was most important to me on a soul level, that was worth fighting for and not ignoring and trusting and doing the work to become the person that would be the vibrational match to have the very things that I have now. And that is why I do futuring work. That is why I lead my clients to heal forward so they can have their future, you know, whatever their future self, whatever it is that they hold on the altar of their hearts. Because this life is so short and our soul wants to grow through expansion. It wants to experience and taste everything that it can. And the only way you can do that, you know, if you have a desire and you're afraid of it, if you're like, that's just too much, or who am I to want this? Or, oh my gosh, people are going to think I'm crazy because I'm going for this thing. Oh, well, who are you not to go for it? And I had to tell myself, no matter what happens from this experience, whether it was falling in love with somebody in a different state, whether it was, you know, going through the court systems, whatever it was, I had to tell myself it's who I'm becoming in the process that matters the most. It's who you're becoming in the process of saying yes to the very things that you desire and you want from a soul level. Not necessarily the egoic stuff that's like, oh, I want this purse because this purse is going to make me feel like a better person. I didn't want the divine union and family because I thought it was going to make me, I just knew it was like my soul has always craved that. It's something I've wanted my whole life because I grow the most through relationships. For you, it could be something totally different. But for me, I know that I serve my best when I have a partnership that is supportive. And I've been by myself many times, and I am my own best partner too. That's why I was able to draw in my partner. So I want to leave you with this thought of what's possible for you 5 years from now. It might seem like, oh, you know, that's a long ways away. But I'll tell you what, when you're sitting here, like I am looking back at those pictures of how miserable I was and how stuck I felt in my life, and I'm thinking about how much joy I've created now, I don't regret a single moment of going through the transformational process that it took for me to do and say and share this story with you. Not for one moment, not all the obstacles and all the challenges, nothing, because they all were the very things that allowed me to become who I am today. And so I want to encourage you, if you have a dream, even if you think it's wild and crazy and you're like, I can't, no, oh my gosh, that's just too much, or I'm stuck and I can't get out of this situation. I'm here as your permission slip to encourage you to trust your heart and soul, and that you could do whatever it is that you set your mind to if you're willing to have trust and faith in a grander, more beautiful, aligned version of your life than you could ever dream possible. And if you need support with this, if you're like, yes, I can guide you. this is not the only thing I've created as far as featuring. This was my biggest creation yet. Now I'm working on another fun creation. And I don't just go, oh, shiny object syndrome, I'm off to the next thing. No, I had to sit and integrate this one because this took me months and months and months to integrate this change. But I'm a dreamer, and I have another dream on the altar of my heart that I will share at some point. Because I believe that's how we grow. And I believe that's how we heal forward. And healing is so much grander and more accessible when we're doing it, when we're working towards something, than trying to go back and just continually fix ourselves and figure it out and come from this vantage point of something's wrong with me. I much rather heal working towards who I get to be in this lifetime. So, if you want to know more about what my different ways I can work with you, message me. I'll share my bio link in here. I have a program that is that I'm offering just through tomorrow, which is an insane thing, by the way. It's a 3-day mini VIP with me. It's 1 hour each day for 3 days straight. And the first day you get to meet your future self, and I take you into your subconscious, and I really help you deeply connect, and I do the healing work to help you align with your future self. The second day we do removing the subconscious blocks that are keeping you from being your future self. I really am able to identify that through my channeling and through some hypnosis that we're going to work on. And then last but not least, we're going to create a game plan, and that's called Becoming Your Future Self. And that right now is on sale till tomorrow for $300, which is insane, you guys, because normally I charge $500 an hour. And I'm doing it because I'm so passionate. But it's not going to be that price forever. It's going to change. On Sunday, it's going to go up to $500, and it's going to be $500 through the end of the month. And then it's going to go back to its normal pricing. So it's a very, very short window of time. And I also have a featuring program that's the Foundations of Featuring. So if you are a self-learner and you want to go through that program, it's on sale for $197. It's normally $997. So I have some really supportive ways to get you started. If you're looking for deeper mentorship, then you can reach out to me and we can talk about that. And that usually starts around 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. And I work with really ambitious women who know that they want some deeper fulfillment, leadership, whatever it is in their life that they're ready to go for. And one of my clients, I just got an incredible message from my client a couple months ago, who we were doing a lot of featuring, and we worked together in a one-on-one container. And that's where you're going to see a lot. There's my one-on-one containers, and I have a group container that's going to be starting soon in November called Healing Forward to Become Your Future Self. But she messaged me. She's an author. She's a really amazing author. She's a therapist, and we were working on her getting this really big deal going as a consultant, and by God, she did it. And it was wildly financially abundant, and it was her becoming one of the biggest thought leaders in her niche in grief, which was just amazing to witness. So I've seen my clients create incredible things, whether it's in their personal life or their professional life. But the thing is no matter what you're working on, it affects both, right? Because we're congruent, we're holistic beings. So the one way we show up in one aspect is going to have an auric, kind of butterfly effect on all areas of our lives, right? So anyways, reach out to me if you'd like to learn more. I hope you have a beautiful weekend, and I hope this inspires you. Give me some comments. Let me know what it inspired you to go for, what you're dreaming of, and what it is that you are claiming for your future self, that you are devoted to see yourself become. I'd love to share in the comments. Take care.